Hi Mary.
Hello Sue.
Thank you so much for letting me come to see your meadow. It looks fantastic. I can't wait to have a look around and do some photography. So thank you for that. So we're on Dartmoor in a little village called Buckland in the Moor, which is in a very ancient landscape, and I would expect to find meadows like this in this landscape. So I'm glad that we have found one here. So I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit about it and how it's managed and how long you've had it and things like that.
Okay, yeah, it's we've had the field for about 30 years and bought it from the neighbouring farmer, this little steep bit for our children's ponies. So for 15 years it was pretty intensively grazed by the ponies, and they took it right down to the barest swards. But even then I used to complain that there was never any grass. It was full of plantain and sorrel and pignut, and which at that time I used to despair. And then about 15 years ago the oldest pony died, and we were left with one who was not a native breed, so he didn't eat everything. And gradually over the last 15 years, all of this variety of different plants and grasses has come in. 3 different sorts of orchids, numerous flowers. I don't know, there's at least 18 flowering at the moment, and that's just in the summer, so that's not including all the spring ones.
Yeah.
So it was about 5 years ago, I think, that Donna Cox came to have a look, and she said, well, just take the pony out, because I always had him grazing as well as everything else. So since then it's really burgeoned into, the grasses have been able to flower and come through.
So how are you going to manage it over the winter then? Or?
Well, the disadvantage of not having it grazed at all in the summer has been the encroaching bracken, particularly on the steep slopes, and bramble, because the pony doesn't eat it, but they would trample it all the time, keep it down. So what we do now, from about the middle to end of August, we have cows, about 4 or 5 South Devon cows come in and graze, and then when they've finished, the pony comes in here, and he's in here till December, and then it's left until the following August.
Okay. And that's why it's like this.
Yes, but it is, and the other thing to say is that it is, we're actually not quite on the granite. The granite comes in just in further up the field, and it's quite, shallow soil here, pretty shallow, and I think that, there's no big depth of soil to give you lots of fertility.
Yeah.
So yes, that's why it is.
Great. Very good. Yes, it's lovely. Okay, well I'm going to spend a bit of time having a look round, if that's okay, and photographing it, and
I'll be interested to see what you find, what you think.
Okay, thank you.
Lots of pulling bracken goes on.
So you don't mind if I pull your bracken up then?
No. Oh, here's that's a sunlight. That's an orchid seeding one. And I'm amazed at how long they take to set their seed.
Yeah. And they can take a decade to go from seed to flower.
Oh, right. Oh, well,
because they've actually got more like spores. The seed hasn't got any sort of nutrient around it like a normal seed. So if it lands on the soil, it then has to go into the soil and it has to find a fungus to live with. And they work in symbiosis.
Yeah.
And so the only way it can germinate is with a fungus wrapped around it, and the fungus then gets all the nutrients to it, and then it takes ages to actually grow to the point, because there's a bulb under there.
Yeah.
And then the bulb has to be a certain size before the flower comes. So sometimes it can be like 7 to 10 years. And that's why orchids are a good sign that it's undisturbed, and
Okay.
you know,
right.
because if you
right.
harrow it or do something,
Mm.
or have too much heavy cattle and things like that, particularly at the wrong time of the year, it can just mess it up. So they don't want the turf to be churned up and things like that, otherwise it just gets destroyed. So this is the neighbouring meadow, and it's grazed by a horse, and you can see it's a lot shorter and not so flowery and grassy, but the species are still in there, they're just not being so obvious. So that just goes to show what grazing does, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Particularly overgrazing.
And that's just one horse.
Yeah.